Happy Monday. What is going on? How is everybody doing today? It is Monday, September 15th. And so I hope that you are doing well. I am doing well today. And let's start off this Monday morning good and right. And so welcome to the show. If you're brand new to the show, then what you can expect is, open and authentic conversations about things like mental health, self-development. Sometimes I go over current events, those types of things. Just basically getting 1% better every single day, at least one step closer to who you'd like to be if you're not where you're at, not liking where you're at right now in life. So this is the Risen Fallen podcast. I am your host, Mark Hendrickson, and let's jump into exactly what it is that I want to chat about today. And so last week we had a crazy week. Charlie Kirk got assassinated in public, brutally, in one of the most inhumane ways possible, literally in broad daylight. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. But what was crazier was people's reactions. People literally, some people celebrating this type of, condoning this type of behavior, saying it's a necessary thing, or, pointing out the irony in things that they're finding irony in certain areas. And then the other side of it is a bunch of people that, they're using it as a way to vindicate themselves and say, how correct they are about another subsect of society, something along the lines of, oh, this is what happens when the left, blah, 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 blah. The left is more prone to blah, 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 blah. And then people on the left, look at people on the right and they say, well, this is why we need certain things like gun control or, less freedom of speech or, not condone, open, like I said, open and authentic conversations in places that are considered to be or expected to be higher learning, because how do we learn? We, expose ourselves to new ideas and then be able to give the existing ideas, the existing beliefs that we have a way to be challenged and then know, oh, this is a flaw in my logic, a logical fallacy or whatever it is. Or, hey, you know what? I'm actually right, because my argument has stood the test of conflict or whatever it could be. And so, there was a lot of surprise that I had about people's reactions. There was also just a lot of, just instant, kind of emotional response. Some people pissed me off. Some people made me really happy and proud. It was like, hey, dude, respect for that. Respect. Mad respect. And so, it got me really thinking, and I did make a little Instagram clip. I think I put it on the Mark Gator, that's my personal account, and then the Risen Fallen Instagram as well. And so I'm going to try not to repeat myself too much. You guys can go and check that out. But one of the things that it reminded me of was this idea that I struggle still to learn. It's something that I have to tell myself and repeat to myself over and over and over again. It's a common theme when it comes to my personal reflection, which is understanding and knowing the right time for advice. Okay, so this idea of, knowing when the right time to give advice is. And, as men, I think a lot of us, our first exposure to this type of experience is like when your girl is having some problems. And she's sitting there and telling you about, oh, this happened, and this really made me upset. And then you instantly, as a problem solver, you want to just say, hey, this is the solution. And sometimes, that could just set off a problem. They're like, hey, I'm not actually looking for advice. I'm not actually looking for solutions. And that's a really tough thing for a lot of people, including myself, to start to understand. It's like, dude, why are you telling me if you're not looking for a solution? Why would you even talk about this or voice this if you're not looking for advice or a way to solve this problem? Like, did you not want to solve it, or did you want to just sit there and complain about it? Like, what's going on? What's happening? And for me, I had to put it into a more, exaggerated point of view or a different perspective to look at it as. And so, usually, more of a physical representation is something that's easier for me to understand rather than an emotional representation. And so I like to picture it as, if you find somebody who's just fallen down, or you see somebody fall down, you watch somebody fall down, after you stop laughing to yourself, you might want to go over and ask like how they're doing. And upon discovering, if you discover, hey, they broke their wrist or they broke their leg or whatever it is, it's probably not the right time to start telling them and showing them, teaching them maybe how to break fall. If someone's just fallen down and broken an arm or a leg, it's probably not the time to be like, okay, this is how you're going to do your break fall, and you're going to like kind of roll into it. And, that way you disperse the energy, you disperse the weight, the force of your body hitting the ground. It's probably not the right time to tell them that kind of advice, or try and teach them a way to avoid that problem in the future. And them being like, hey, dude, like, come over here, please, I need help. Like, I just broke my leg. Like, that's not them asking for advice. What they're actually looking for is a way to get to the next step of healing. Because sometimes we need to, reach out for help and heal before the advice is even like, you can't even really learn how to do it until you've actually healed, right? And so sometimes you need to go through that process of like, actually, hey, I need help, and then go through that healing, and wow, look at my hand. It is covered in glue. That's gross. But yeah, sometimes we need to have that time, that period of time to process things, reach out for help, and heal before the advice can actually even be, listened to and applied properly, and then demonstrated. Like, you could go and practice whatever it is. And so I think that's actually, something that, again, it's something that I struggle with understanding. It's something that I have to drill into myself constantly, because that is the type of person that I am. The type to just start spouting off my advice. And obviously that's naturally why I started this podcast. So it is what it is. And so on that theme, on that note, if today is going to be a relationship advice type of day, and that's not necessarily just like relationships with like loved ones, with your significant other, with your wife, with your husband, with your boyfriend, with your girlfriend, whatever. This could be with roommates, this could be with coworkers, this could be with teammates, this could be with, literally anybody or anything. Just random strangers on the bus. One of the things that I find myself thinking all the time, a little bit less now more nowadays. One of the things I find myself thinking, though, what I've found myself thinking in the past, is like this idea that someone you should expect an apology from somebody. This idea that somebody should come up and apologize, maybe take accountability for their actions, maybe take accountability for their behaviors. You get in an argument with somebody, or you notice somebody's doing something fucked up, or somebody does something in the break room, like they leave a mess or whatever, they cook fish in the microwave, something like that. And it really sets you off. It really pisses you off. Or they say something to somebody else, and that person says whatever. And you just think in your head, like, this person needs to accept accountability for what they've done. This person needs to apologize to me. This person needs to make it right and atone for their behavior. A lot of the time, what I think that is, and this is, again, Mark's going woo-woo here. A lot of the time, what I think that is kind of God giving you a message. Some people talk about a Godhead, a version of yourself when you meditate or whatever, your higher self, your higher being. I don't really believe that way. I don't think that way. I don't, but if you do, just journey with me for a second. Imagine your Godhead. I'm going to just say God, because that's more close to my spiritual beliefs. Imagine God is trying to send you a message, a letter. But you don't speak the same language, right? You don't have the same means of communication. But what he can feel and what you can feel is emotions. These weird feelings, physical representations of feelings that we have. And that's like a common language, right? But we don't always know how to interpret these languages. It's a language where we can feel, we can understand a little bit, but we can't always understand the why behind it. It's like we don't always know how to conjugate verbs or which context a noun makes more sense in or whatever. And now I'm just kind of getting lost in the can't see the forest for the trees. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that feeling that we get internally when we are expecting somebody to apologize to us or take accountability for their behaviors or their actions might actually be more of an inner reflection of how we feel about how we've behaved in the past, or what we, feel about that person. Or, I think that it mirrors a lot more of our behaviors than it does about their behaviors. Because most of the time, when we're getting into an argument, and again, this is kind of something from my experience. When I get into an argument with somebody and I feel like, they've been rude to me, or the way that they spoke to me made me a little bit unhappy. I didn't like their tone that they used, or I didn't like the way that they, their body language was a little off or aggressive. Or maybe they were just being flat out, blatantly, just like, belligerently annoying or rude, whatever. They could have just been a fucking dick, I think that part of that feeling that we get inside, that makes us so upset, that makes us feel like we've been wronged and served such an injustice, is a part of us that knows that we have that inside us as well. We have the capacity to behave the exact same way, or we have behaved in the exact same way, and part of us is telling us like, you're not really hating this person or being upset with them. You're actually hating yourself or being upset with yourself, because you have the capacity to make someone else feel the way that you feel right now. And instead of acknowledging that and quote unquote taking accountability, you project it on them to save yourself from that negative feeling, and understanding that everybody else around you is doing the exact same thing. And so the sooner we can realize that, the sooner we can realize every single time that we are expecting an apology from somebody, or feeling like they should be, taking accountability verbally, just compelling them to come and apologize to you, or just say, hey, I did this and I fucked up and I'm in the wrong. Chances are there's a part of you deep down inside that knows that you've behaved like that in the past, or you have the capacity to behave like that right now, and you're just in denial. Which means you need to take accountability for your own reactions. You need to take accountability for the way that you speak, the way that you treat people, and the way that you think about them. And understand that you have that within yourself. And not only does that allow you to forgive them, it allows you to forgive yourself. And that's something that I'd never really thought of before. I've always heard people say, you have to forgive yourself. You need to forgive yourself. And I didn't know what that meant until I started to realize this. That gut inner feeling that when we've been served an injustice, I think a part of that feeling is understanding like, oh, I'm just like this person. And so instead of feeling like, oh, they owe me this or they owe me that, maybe I just need to reflect on myself and give them a little bit more grace. And on that note, I think that's a beautiful place to wrap this up. We're just coming up to 15 minutes here, and I think that is a great place to stop. My brain's a little scattered right now, and I just want to come on here and record that little message for you. Because like I said, that idea that I thought of in regards to advice or anything like that, that kind of came to my mind with the whole Charlie Kirk thing. Because, I almost made a response to how I felt about the actual event in and of itself. But I didn't want to because... I found myself kind of compelled and wanted to almost start the video by saying like, I don't agree with everything that he said. I don't share the same values with everything that he, everything that he valued. And even just thinking about giving my thoughts that preface is like, why do I even have to justify my thoughts and opinions by saying, hey, I don't think that this... I don't agree with everything he said. Because what that does is kind of like put somebody into a compartment. It puts them into a demographic maybe, or a side. There's the people I agree with, which obviously they're the good guys. And then there's the, I don't agree with everything. And so that kind of confirms some sort of a bias, like or some sort of like virtue signaling. And so that in and of itself just feels gross to me. It feels negative. It feels weird. And I don't really like it. And so when other people do it, it's kind of like it gives me the ick factor right away. Because it's like, what are you expected to agree with everybody? Like, those are the good guys. Oh, dude, these are the people I agree with and align with 100% of the things. You know, that feels gross to me. It feels weird to me. Just that idea or assertion that should be the norm. And then the other side of it is like, it just really kind of opens my eyes, because it's like, regardless. And this is so obvious. This is so, again, it circles back to this idea that this reoccurring thing of how connected we all are. It is just like a crazy thing that we're still dealing with this in 2025, where people could be, their lives could be cut short because of opinion, because of an opinion that they hold and spoke out loud. It is something that it's something that you read about in dystopian novels. Like, I've read about quite a lot about, even just the simplest one, 1984. It used to be kind of like something that we would get to read in high school. And when you read it in the thing, that people would be vaporized. If the Ministry of Truth decided that what they said was wrong or harmful, you're like, dude, that would never fucking happen. That's a crazy concept. I can't believe an author would write that with like the premonition of like, this is what's going to happen. And here we are. It's a sad reality. It's a sad, weird thing. It is a lot more Orwellian than it should be. That's for sure. And so on that note, I think that's a beautiful place to wrap this up, because actually, you know what? This is the one thing I will repeat from that Instagram video, because knowing that there are people out there like that want to, in my eyes, like I said, I'm kind of there is a layer of tinfoil under this hat. But, if you feel like I do, that there are forces out there that want to make us feel upset, that want to make us feel sad, angry, anxious, divided, hateful, spiteful, anything like that. When you look at another group of people, whether they agree with you and you feel good about them, or you don't agree with them and you feel bad about them. If you look at the propaganda machine, the national news here in North America, the mainstream media, quote unquote, I assume that they have an agenda. They have a thing that they want us to believe. They have a thing that they want us to feel. And looking at this whole Charlie Kirk thing, you look at people like the person that pulled the trigger. Obviously they had a reaction that they were trying to provoke. And so anytime you look at, crazy acts of terrorism, domestic or foreign, anytime you have somebody that's being violent, anytime you have somebody that's spreading propaganda or malinformation or misinformation or whatever it is, think about what their intended reaction that they're trying to provoke into you. If you think, this person wants me to feel fear, this person wants me to feel hate, this person wants to make me feel anxious or sad or scared, you have to know that, because they are preying on your natural reactions and feelings. These are people, dark sorcerers, basically, like, they understand, this is how most people would react to this. This will cause hysteria. This will cause stress. This will cause, they know. And so knowing that, when you start to feel yourself that, you think, is somebody trying to provoke this reaction or this feeling from me? This even comes down to the way that we tell kids how to deal with bullies. If somebody is antagonizing you, you probably are going to feel antagonized. You probably are going to feel pissed off, or like, back the fuck up. But what they want from you is that reaction. And so even if you feel that deep down inside, you have to tell yourself or ask yourself, is somebody trying to make me feel this way? And if I want it to end, if I want to overcome this, even if I feel that way, I can't let them see it. I can't show it to them. So if you think that they're trying to make you feel hateful, divided, scared, anxious, all these negative things that we talk about, whether it's a bully, someone pulling propaganda out, or like, the mainstream media, or like I said, some crazy fucking idiot behind a gun. Think about what they're trying to make you feel, and then tell yourself, even if I feel that, I'm never going to let them see. Because what that does is alleviates some of the pressure. It alleviates some of the power that they have over you. And I think all of these problems that we deal with en masse are solved at an individual level. And I think that on that note, that's a beautiful place to wrap this up. I'll see you guys next Monday. Please share this message if you think it helps somebody out. If you are watching this on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. Share this with people. If you're listening to the podcast, leave a 5-star review and write a little message for me. Other than that, I will see you next Monday. Much love. Peace out. I love you all. Bye.